To Urbana-Champaign, to the middle of the glorious cornfields, to the 1,000 people who have come from across the nation and the world. We got some Canadians here, right? Where'd they all go? Good stuff. And we got France, you know? We'll talk about that in a little bit. All right. So, the agenda. Today we're just going to be starting off with me talking a bit about the event. Then we're going to go into talking some of the VIPs coming up and talking about themselves and what they're going to be talking about later on. Then we're going to move on to talk a bit about the open source aspect of this event because it's a whole new event today. And finally, we're going to end off with having some sponsors come up and talk a bit about what they're going to be doing and about what they have in mind for this event. All right, the rules. Be respectful of the people around you. We don't want anyone using power tools. Last year we had someone using them in the bathroom, and that's not okay. Don't eat in the labs, no matter how good the food is. Eat before you come in. And just visit the code of conduct online, hackillinois.org/code. It'll tell you a bit more about what we're going to be doing this event and making sure you stay, aware of what your surroundings are. So the venues. There's 3 main buildings we're using. Right now you're in the Illini Union. This is where the opening ceremony is. This is where we're going to have the closing ceremony. This is where you're going to be doing your expo, where you talk about your projects and what you worked on. Then there's 2 other buildings we're using. There's the computer science building and there's the electrical engineering building. That's Siebel and the ECEB. So Siebel currently has all the create people who are going to be working on a new project, plus a few of them might be in the ECEB, but majority of them are going to be in Siebel. The ECEB is primarily contribute, the people who are in the contribute track. We'll be talking a bit more about that in a bit for those of you who aren't too familiar with the terms. Otherwise, we had that in our registration flow and in a lot of the emails we sent out to you guys. All right, the expo. So the expo is kind of the last thing you're going to be doing here. That'll be on Sunday in the afternoon. And that's where you'll be coming over. You'll be talking about what projects you've worked on, what project you might have contributed to, and kind of giving a full rundown of what your goals were for the project, what you did, and what your future plan is for this project for the next 2 months, 3 months, 9 months, year, 2 years, whatever it is. We'll also have a couple prizes that might be presented at that time. You can visit hackillinois.org/prizes to see some of that, but otherwise, just really it's going to be more about you talking about what you worked on. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to start and introduce a couple of VIPs that we have coming out that are going to be talking about some of their events, or about their speech. So all of you guys got a book today, hopefully. That book was written by somebody who is in our audience today. We are going to introduce Carl Fogel, the writer of this book, who's very involved in the open source community. So how about a round of applause for Carl?
Hey, thanks. I'd like to thank the organizers for putting this together and also for doing the first print run of this second edition of this book. The first edition is from 2005, so a lot has changed in open source and software in general since then. Thank you very much to the student sitting right there, I think, who lent me his copy. Thanks. So I could hold it up for you all to see. There he is waving. I'm just going to speak for about a minute or so. I don't want to take too much of your evening away. I know you're busy to get hacking, but there are a lot of you. If every one of you fixes one bug in an open source project tonight, the internet will become 10% faster. You should really, you can get a lot done with a bunch of hackers all working at once. So I have been working in open source for my whole career. I guess that's 25 years so far, since before the term open source existed, but the thing itself certainly did exist before that. And if there's one thought I could leave you with, it's that open source is it's not a spare time activity. It's not a thing that you do when you clock out from your day job and you still feel like hacking, and on the weekend you go down to your shagrog basement and you contribute, volunteer. Those words, when used with respect to open source projects, always bug me a little bit. Yeah, there are a lot of volunteers, but the reason open source succeeds is that, or has succeeded as well as it has, is that it is important to all sorts of organizations. It's not just a volunteer activity. I've been making my living from it for my entire adult life, pretty much. I have many, many colleagues who have done that, and I will be talking about some of the dynamics that make open source and the freedom that open source represents work in a commercial context, and why there's such an important difference between commercial and monopolistic. Those are 2 very different things, in some ways opposed things, tomorrow in a keynote at 5:30, I think. So that's it. Enjoy the rest of your evening and weekend, and I look forward to seeing what you cook up. Thanks.
All right, so our next VIP speaker, that's Jean-Baptiste Kemp. He wrote VLC, or is the creator of VLC, and he's all the way from France coming in for the weekend. So how about a big round of applause for him?
Hi, my name is Jean-Baptiste, and as you can hear, I'm French. Sorry about that, I can't be perfect. I've been leading the VLAN and VLC project for 10 years, since I was a student at a university in south of Paris. I just want to ask you a question. Do you know VLC? Who knows VLC? Okay. Who knows the École Centrale Paris? Wow, 3 hands. So tomorrow you need to come at my keynote to know the story of source project started by students that are in bachelor years and created a project that became known in the world with around 400 million users, and it's way bigger than the universities that no one knows. So you can do it. We did it 10, 15 years ago, and you should come about that. Also, I will talk about the startup I created, because you know there is a lot of talks and VCs and money on startups, and startups can be done with open source. Those are two stuff that are possible at the same time, and I will talk about that tomorrow. And finally, tomorrow I will also speak about why open source is very important, not just for hacking, but also for democracy, and has a very important social aspect. And as a personal note, I will use this hackathon to work on a small project, so if I manage to do it, I will show it on Sunday. Thanks.
All right, before we move on to the third speaker, how many of you guys have been to HackIllinois before? All right, so for those of you who've been here before, you've heard his name not once, not twice, not 3 times, but you're about to hear it for the 4th time. The pioneer of iOS jailbreaking, we have Jay Freeman.
Hello. So I would say like pioneer or various things. I mean, I did come in like a month after other people were doing it. But I run Cydia, which is the alternative to the App Store for jailbroken iPhones, and I build all the tools that everyone uses to do runtime code modification inside of other running applications in a way that is safe and vaguely sane. Sane and vaguely safe. Only vaguely safe. So I think I've convinced them in order to give me a room in the middle of the night tomorrow night. That will be maybe 1404, but we're not certain. We're going to try to figure that out. Which is something that I've been doing at another hackathon, where I just start with one topic and then I just accept questions until people get tired of asking me questions about anything related to reverse engineering or exploit work. Any other kind of projects I'd be working on. It's like recently I've actually been doing a lot of runtime code modifications inside of VR software. But I start with kind of a topic talk, and I will be doing a meandering conversation on the proliferation of closed ecosystems and proprietary standards, looking at complex software licensing, locked-down devices, and curated app stores as mere examples of a problem that includes modern content publishing platforms, messaging infrastructure, and attempts to curate the entire internet. I've attempted this once before, and I had an outline, and it's been destroyed. So we'll see if it's more or less meandering, whether having had some practice helps, or whether just having no clue what I'm doing really, really hurts. So hope to see people there.
So the 4th VIP speaker we have, her name is Jessica McKellar. She was recently selected as 30 under 30. She was the director of the Python Foundation and is currently director of engineering at Dropbox. Unfortunately, she's not here at the moment. However, she will be having a talk tomorrow. It's already on your schedule. So definitely go out to that as well. So now, the next people we're going to have coming up are Andrew Kuznetsov and Yasha Mostofi. They're 2 members of our staff, and they're very experienced hackers who have been to a ton of hackathons, and they're going to talk a bit more about how this event's going to be running this year.
So, before we get started, who here is their first time at a hackathon? Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so quick story. I went to my first hackathon my junior year of high school. I went to MHAX, and it was in Detroit, and I was in the Federal Reserve, and it wasn't even built out. It was just dust, and we had to sleep on the table, because if you slept on the ground, your shoes would be filled with dust. It was bad. What was really cool, though, was that I found something that I really, really enjoyed, and I knew that for the rest of my career, this was something that I wanted to do. And as soon as I got to U of I knew that HackIllinois was something that I had to do because it was something that had impacted my life so much. And over the past few years, hackathons have grown at insane speeds. There's 3 every weekend, sometimes 4, maybe more, across the nation, with companies there, awesome people. And the one thing that's in common with all of these hackathons is that they all rely on open source technology for you to be able to crank out awesome stuff within 36 hours. Right? So stuff like Bootstrap, stuff like Hackathon Starter, stuff like Node.js, NPM, Gulp, all of those, all open source. And without those, you'd have to start from scratch every time. And we realized that because of that, HackIllinois 2017 would be devoted to giving back to the tools that help us succeed at other hackathons.
As for my story, I also started into that kind of the hackathon scene as soon as I arrived freshman year. I actually met Yasha at Union Station in Chicago as we were waiting for the MHAX bus. So in a sense, very much that relation and the people I know here have been driven by the hackathon community. And so this year, we decided, to kind of give back to the things that enable us to do what we do. And that's why we've focused on open source this year.
So to kick things off, you guys have seen this stuff on social media and the Facebook, like contribute, create. Like, I don't really know what those are, so we're here to clarify some questions. And maybe at the end you'll say, you know what, I really want to sign up for that. So if you do, feel free to find any of us at a help desk, and we can definitely make that work. So first of all, what is Contribute, right? So the goal of our Contribute track is that we've flown in a ton of mentors, and I'm saying 40, 50 mentors from popular open source projects that I mentioned. Here are some of them, right here. And the goal of Contribute is that you get to work on an open source project that you love, right? Something that you use every day that helps you succeed at schoolwork, in your projects, whatever. And you get to work with someone who works on that project all the time. And they can show you all the holes, show you all the tricks. If you say, I don't really know where I'm supposed to write this code, they can show you the code base, help you get started. That's the goal. And
again, we think this is a very, very unique opportunity. And we've worked really hard to make sure that you have this opportunity, that these people have been able to come out here, especially for projects that they're very familiar with. And for many, this may be one of the only opportunities they have to get started in open source, to actually be able to contribute to these projects. And we want you to take full advantage of that. We are most likely the first hackathon to do something like this, to allow you guys to come in here, sit down with mentors who otherwise would be contributing to those open source projects, and to get a contribution into these projects.
So I noticed some of you taking pictures. This is at hackillinois.org/projects if you want to check it out. You don't need to take pictures. It's easier to see. Second thing, we've gotten a ton of questions about team size. So, typically you go to a hackathon to like 4 people, no more, no less, and you're like, oh, but I have a 5th friend. That's not true at HackIllinois. We have a soft cap of about 6 to 8 people, which is where we expect most people to be, because you realize that 4 people doesn't really work for everybody. Some people need 6, some people need 10, some people need 2. And if you feel that 6 to 8 doesn't really work for your group, talk to one of us. We're here to make exceptions, because we realize that not every group can work together with 4 people. Maybe you need less, maybe you need more. So here's what a rough outline of the event. So we start off with the opening ceremony.
And then we're going to move on to the Contribute panel. We'll have a bunch of panelists, focused on the Contribute track. We'll take questions. We'll, have some discussion at the panel. And then we'll go into the Contribute Project Fair.
And after that, we're basically going to have some workshops about, what does it really mean to contribute? If you haven't used Git before, how can you get started with Git? Stuff like that. In the morning, we're going to have submission office hours. What that looks like is, we realize that the traditional model of submitting your work at hackathons doesn't really work, because you might not finish your pull request at the end of the weekend. You might have only written 10 lines of code, but you might have learned a ton. So we would appreciate it if you documented your learning experience, and we want to judge you at the end of the weekend based on that, as opposed to how many lines of code you've written. Because think about it, how hard is it to judge one contribution better than another? If someone fixed a really critical bug in Linux versus someone who cranked out a really, really cool feature in Node, which one is better? You can't say, right? So we're going to abstract it a little bit more and look at what did you actually do over the weekend? What did you learn? What did you talk about? What decisions did you make? What was your journey through open source? And so we're going to be talking about that at the office hours. Then we're going to have some more workshops and final submissions Sunday at 11.
Later tonight, we'll most likely have a bunch of Git workshops for people to be introduced to open source. We realize that one of the barriers to contributing to making your own open source project is a knowledge of Git, and how to use GitHub, and how to set these things up, how to make pull requests. And so we have some workshops later on this evening specifically targeting that.
And real quick about the project fair, basically it's just going to be where you guys get to talk to the mentors and figure out which project you feel is best for you and what project the mentor thinks you can work on, so you guys can start working right away. So then for Create, the goal around Create is that projects at hackathons, we don't want you to just write something that's functional. We want you to build the foundation of an idea that will last, outlive HackIllinois 2017. So on Monday, if someone goes to your GitHub repo and says, wow, this is really cool, but looks like they don't have this feature that I thought I could add, they know how to add it. It's manageable, it's maintainable, there's a contributor's guide, stuff like that. So it's not really just writing code and writing all the functions that you want and making sure it works. It's more about building the foundation.
And we have this rough outline of what the flow will look like for Create. This is the opening ceremony. We have the panel after the opening ceremony, followed by one of the workshops, which will be primarily on licensing and understanding how to start an open source project and some of the legality surrounding that.
Yeah, and then we're going to have more mentor matching, so you can meet up with a mentor if you want to, more office hours, a workshop, and then at the end of the weekend. So what do you walk away with? So we realize that, you come for prizes, whatever, but you can also learn a lot. You get to learn something that you don't usually get to learn. You get to do something that you've never really done before, most likely. And we've also introduced this new concept we're calling the long con. So 6 months out, we're going to take a look at all the projects that were created at HackIllinois and see who really maintained them. Did the project grow? Was your idea maintained by others? Did you go back and keep working on it? What did it become? And we're going to inspect those and probably give out a couple prizes to people who think they can really do that. So.
All right, there's a lot of information there. Don't feel intimidated. That's why we got so many mentors. You can learn a lot from them. You can learn a lot from the staff that's around here. So now we're going to move into talking a bit more about the sponsors and who all is here to give a little bit of information about what they're going to be working on. So the first sponsor we're going to invite on stage is Microsoft.
Hello, how's everybody doing? First-time hackers? Woo! Give yourself a round of applause. Okay, so this is my second HackIllinois. Last year, if you were here, we all played chess together. They said I couldn't play chess on stage this year, but that's fine. We're super excited about HackIllinois, the hackathon culture that lives in universities now, and huge respect to what we're doing with open source here at this hackathon. Really awesome. So congrats to the HackIllinois team. So we brought an amazing team of mentors from Microsoft to help you build your hacks, help you contribute to open source and create new projects that will live on. And of course, we want to reward you. So we brought some awesome prizes. So for that, the team that makes the best use of Microsoft technology or contributes to one of our big projects, we are giving out a Surface Pro to that team. So I think we have one for we have 4, so for the whole team essentially. We're doing some workshops, so we brought a bunch of APIs for using AI, like vision APIs, object recognition, speech recognition, and we're going to be doing a workshop tomorrow, so you can do some crazy stuff with that. We see a lot of winning hackers that use that. And of course, if you want a project that's going to live on and be useful, it can't just live on your PC. You need to host it so people can try it. So we have we have $100 in Azure credits for everyone to get on the cloud with their projects. Something that's interesting is we spend a lot of time actually at this hackathon mentoring people, coding with them, but actually we spend a lot of time giving out Azure passes, and also we spend a lot of time giving you links to documentation, like here's let me Google that for you. So we kind of like replaced us with a bot. We built a bot for a second mentor for our team, and she is named Hannah. There she is. She's named Hannah. She's a hackathon bot. You can text her, and she will give you resources on how you can build a chatbot. Or also, this is how you get your $100 in Azure credit. So you like text her, give her your email address, tell us what project you're going to work on, and we will email you an Azure pass. We'll actually just give it to you right then. So it's pretty cool, and also it'll give us as mentors, more time to just sit and hack with you on the hard problems, because that's what we want to do. So I'll put that link up here. I don't know, actually, I can't put the link back. But thank you so much for having us. We look forward to hacking with you. And the link to the chat bot is right there. And find us at our booth. Thanks.
Awesome. All right, next up, we have IMO.
All right, good evening, everyone. We also love all of you guys so much that this is our 4th year of sponsoring. My name is Blake. I've got Brian here also representing us. Honored to be here tonight. We also brought more of our team members after we realized that it is an open source event. We wanted to have a lot of people from various teams come here, so we'll get into that here in just a second. So we are the leader in medical terminology, and it's important for you guys to know that. I believe in the fact that there's a lot of room for innovation within the healthcare industry, which is why we come to these events, which is why we have a presence in the research park here at the University of Illinois. And we are in 75% of the market, which is 450,000 plus physicians using us every day and over 4,500 hospitals. To give you a brief background, essentially we develop, license, manage medical terminology in healthcare IT and software APIs. You guys can read, and we're on a time crunch, so I won't state all of those things, but I wanted to let you know that our CEO is extremely passionate as well about what we do, so much in fact that he's going to try and come here tomorrow. And this is his favorite quote from Steve Jobs. I think the biggest innovation of the 21st century will be on the intersection of biology and technology. A new era is beginning. Now I'm going to have Brian tell you about some of the technical stuff.
All right, so as Blake mentioned, I'm here to tell you guys about the technical stuff. I work on the dev team at IMO. We're providing a couple of things. Obviously, you know, it's an open source hackathon, but we're not an open source company, so that's kind of awkward, right? We're going to provide access to 2 of our APIs. These are both REST-based APIs. The first is our intelligent problem list service. What this basically does is you can feed in a patient's medical history, and it'll categorize all of their problems into specific buckets based on, you know, what it may pertain to, whether it be cardiac or gastrointestinal or whatever. It'll automatically, intelligently do that for you. The second service we're providing access to is our Portal REST API. Basically what that does is, a lot of you probably don't really know exactly a lot about medical terminology or like the words the doctors use because they're really long and confusing. So that provides you a really easy access point to search through different medical terminologies, find out, you know, what it is, what the common English is, and a lot of different codings around that in order to enhance medical systems. We're also providing through HackIllinois Amazon Echo Dots. So if anyone wants to do a project related to Echo Dots, we've given the HackIllinois staff, I believe, 8 Echo Dots for them to distribute to you for you to check out for the weekend. All right. So since we're not actually an open source company, we decided we wanted to sort of push you guys in the direction of what we thought would be useful in the open source healthcare community. So we focused on 2 projects. Those 2 projects are Open EMR, which is an open electronic medical record, and Open MRS, which is an open medical record system. These 2 products are both available on GitHub, both pretty well documented, and unfortunately also both really ugly. If you have been unfortunate enough to see the inside of a medical record system, they're not pretty. So I think it'd be really cool if you guys could, you know, come up with some way to improve that, make it better, make it look prettier, make it not painful to use. And then I will give this back to Blake now to explain the rest of our events.
So as you guys know, since it is now our 4th year, the past 3 years we have had Ramen with Regis. Our CTO is French, so everything is fantastic there. We have, again, a whole Jeep load full of ramen, which you can get from us up in our lounge on the 2nd floor of Siebel. And on Saturday, we have, to go with this theme, Dig with Devs. We're going to have, again, in our lounge, randomly tomorrow, if you will follow us, we'll be tweeting out some questions. And if you tweet back at us or come to our lounge with the correct answer, you're going to have the chance to be like this happy child and be able to dig for different prizes. And what I mean by that is, if you can successfully dig some Lego minifigures, you are going to win those corresponding prizes. And if you dig Emmett, you actually get to keep him.
All right. So we have a little marketing website here that we sort of threw together. Well, not me personally, but this basically has information about our APIs, documentation on how to get access to them, things like what we do, product ideas that we've come up with, things we'd like to see done possibly. And let's see if we can open that so you guys can see what it looks like. That looks pretty bad. All right. I am not good at OS X. How do I? There we go. Okay, so you can see we got this funny looking little man, and he's scrolling through a hospital. And you can see, it's basically demonstrating all of the different steps at which IMO is involved, right? So, you go to the doctor, he tells you what's wrong, you go to the lab, they do something hopefully not too painful to you. Eventually you have to get, you have to get your insurance to pay for it, it's got to get billed. You get your cast on, you recover, hopefully. And then once it's all done, you have to check out. And through every stage of the process, we have information and data that backs up all stages. And at the end here, you'll see he's happy and healthy. And then if you scroll further, well, it won't let me scroll further down here, but if you scroll further, there's going to be information about our APIs. And if you can't get access to that, if it's not working, whatever, come by our booth. We have little printouts of all the API information to give out to people.
And then the last bit here to let you know about our prizes. Oh, dang. Help me out, Arnav. Perfect. So yes, this website, it'll be fixed by tonight. The very end of it will have some clouds with helpful links, our prizes, et cetera, et cetera. But here we go. So again, since it's open source, we want to make sure that we give prizes away for those that are doing something relevant within the healthcare industry. We've got criteria for that. And we all love choice, right? So the fact that you're going to be able to win first place means you're going to have your choice between these wonderful prizes. Second place, teams will have their choice of picking one of these prizes. Third place, you'll be able to get some of these prizes. And here's what I'm really excited about. What our CEO had said, okay, again, it's healthcare. I want people to use our stuff. If you can prove that you can successfully do a project that utilizes our information, here you go. Get ready. You get a dot. You get a dot. You get a dot. You get a dot. Everybody will get an echo dot from us who can prove that they can successfully utilize our stuff in their hack this weekend. So come check us out, second floor of Siebel in the IMO Lounge. Thank you.
All right, next up we have AARP.
Hey everyone, my name is Julie Betts, and I'm an innovation champion with AARP. AARP is a membership organization with a mission to champion positive social change and deliver value through advocacy, information, and service. We have a space here on campus at the Research Park, AARP, the Tech Nest. So if you don't think hackathon when you think AARP, then you don't know ARP. At HackIllinois, AARP is encouraging participants to identify and develop solutions for caregivers. Take Care is a prize for projects which help enable caregivers and improve the quality of life for seniors everywhere. Our prize this year is a pair of Bose headphones for everyone on the team, no matter what size the team. So we encourage you to consider products and solutions for the caregiving marketplace, utilizing unique technologies and solutions with disruptive business models. So let's think then about what we're talking about when we talk about caregiving. We're talking about people who are at home, family caregivers, caring for a loved one, a parent perhaps, or a spouse or a child. And despite billions in spending, today's market for caregiving solutions remains extremely fragmented, poorly adapted to caregiver needs, and in some cases undefined and underdeveloped. Many solutions are also directed towards the recipients of the care and not the caregivers themselves. Nearly 40 million Americans in 2014 were providing unpaid care in their homes to people who are older, disabled, or otherwise in need of assistance. A quarter of these were millennials, and half were under the age of 50. And many of you in this room may also see yourselves in that position now or in the future. So tomorrow, you should stop by our empathy lab and learn a bit more about the challenges that caregivers face. I also invite you to stop by the AARP table to learn about a national challenge that AARP has going on right now, the Innovation Champion Awards. The AARP Innovation Champion Awards will recognize innovative products or services in the caregiving space. So the caregiving market is ripe for innovation and needs new ideas and solutions brought to market. We have a responsibility as a society to make life easier for those who deliver unpaid care. Caregiving is a frontier that technology entrepreneurs and investors can't afford to ignore, and neither can you. Thank you very much.
It almost ran away. All right, next up we have Amadeus.
Hi, everyone. We're here for the second year, so we're super excited. So I'm here with Amadeus. No, we're not a music company. Please do not ask this question. We're actually the leading IT provider for the travel industry. So we're the Google for the travel industry, basically. To give you an idea, we're the number 10 software company in the world. So just giving you numbers to position the company, because last year it was a bit difficult. So 195 countries, 123 different nationalities. Like I'm half French, half Australian. So the guy who was talking about École Centrale, yeah, I know where this school is. I know. I was there, actually. So yeah, half French, half Australian, living in Boston. Where are you from?
I'm from India.
One from India?
I'm from India too.
So, and, right? And when you look at my team, we have 15 different people, where 10 come from different countries. So I do feel like, especially, at this period of time, it's very important to highlight. 1.2 billion passengers boarded in 2015, and for the 5th year, we've been included in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index. Yep. So like Kayak, Expedia, Orbitz, right? Well, we're the big tech engine behind the scenes. When you look at airports, you scan your boarding pass, you go through security. When you look at airlines, hotels like IHG, car rental companies like Avis, insurance companies, ground handlers, well, we're the guys to make this happen, basically. So you're all customers. You don't know that, but you all have used Amadeus in the past. And we have super cool public APIs. Travel related, so you can do flight search, car, hotel. There's some travel intelligence APIs, points of interest, with a given budget, where can you travel. Super easy to use, well documented, and basically what you have to do is create an account. It gives you an API key, and then you're good to go, and our APIs will be open like forever. So if in 6 months you guys want to continue work on that project, it's definitely possible. Each member of the winning team will choose between the Oculus Rift, the PlayStation VR, and the GoPro Hero 5. And if you have another request, like if you really want a GoPro, an Apple Watch, I'm HR, I'm sure I can make it happen, okay? So happy hacking, and have a good one.
Next up, we have Facebook.
Oh, sure. Hi, I'm Johnston, and we're all from Facebook. And I'm really excited about HackIllinois. This is actually a like I've been coming here before I even started working at Facebook. I was at Etsy before this. But I'm really excited to see this focus on open source and the fact that we're trying to keep people accountable. It's not just about prizes. Like the fact that you are kind of incentivized to maintain projects after 6 months is pretty incredible in my eyes, especially like, you know, with today's attention span. And so how many people have the Facebook app installed on your phone? Right, yeah, that's pretty, like Apple and Google do not make that easy, right? Facebook is actually the most installed app that that's installed voluntarily, not just packaged in the OS. And so we actually have a lot of, right, it's crazy, right? But we have to solve a lot of technical hurdles to make this happen. You know, like, you know, just jailbreaking or, you know, so there's a lot of stuff that it goes into running the apps on your phone. But one thing that Facebook has also focused on is how to develop the apps in the first place. So we actually have a lot of open source technologies within this realm, like React Native makes it a lot easier to iterate quickly. You can write JavaScript and have it render a native UI in real time, which is pretty cool. And something that I'm personally, I have been involved with was with the initial release of Nuclide, which is a package on top of Atom, the JavaScript text editor that GitHub open sourced. And something that I'm interested in mentoring is making Nuclide a viable competitor to Xcode so that you can do like iOS development in something that's not Xcode. And so you can kind of integrate a more personalized developer experience. And so I'm willing to help mentor with that.
And we normally, just at hackathons kind of across the board, will deem a prize Facebook's favorite. Normally it's Facebook's favorite hack, but we're going to go with Facebook's favorite open source project this time. We really want to be creative, and you guys don't have to create a messaging service because you think that that's what we're looking for. Basically, we're excited to see all the creativity that you guys can put into just new ideas and kind of pushing the bounds this weekend. So our prize is an all expenses paid trip to our global hackathon in our Menlo Park headquarters, which will take place in either late October or November of 2017. So even if you guys have already graduated and you're working full time, we'll get your permanent contact information, and we'll start getting all of that scheduled and organized at the end of the summer, early fall. So it's normally a great time. My first week at Facebook was when one of the global hacks was going on. It was the most overwhelming and amazing experience I've ever had. We really do go all out. We have people from all over the world, all over the country that have won different hackathons come, so it should be a good time. All right.
Next up, we have John Deere.
Hey everybody, I'm Josh Carson, API guy for John Deere. This is our third year here. There is a reason an agriculture company is here. We're more than just ag. So we make big equipment. Everything we do is Internet of Device basically at this point. We have self-driving vehicles, but the reason we're here at this hackathon is because we want you to make the world a better place. There is significant problems in feeding and building and maintaining the world, and we want you guys to make a hack in that space. We have APIs that have been available for years. You can use them in the future, but we don't require you to use us. There is tons of software out there. There's tons of data platforms out there. Parts of the solution to feed the world and to build the world are out there. Use them. Make something amazing in this space. So we got $800 for a top prize, $200 for our second place prize, and we want you to build the apps that will help people grow and feed the world, because without that stuff, the rest of the stuff doesn't matter. Thank you.
Next up, we have Capital One.
Hello, my name is Andrew. I'm a software engineer and cloud architect for Capital One. Normally, if you've been to one of these before, we are here to talk about our Nessie API that you can use to win our prize. This time, due to the nature of the open sourceness, our prize is more geared around our general mission, which is change banking for good. So if you can make the financial world, investing world, anything with money easier, more accessible, either educating people, making it easier to do things that are absurdly hard right now, whatever you want to do. The prize is $300 gift card for the team that, for every member of the team that does that. We at Capital One are definitely an open source first company. We've got hundreds, if not thousands, of application teams that can only do what they do because of open source. We have open source projects, of which I'm a contributor on a couple. And so, yeah, regardless of whether you create, collaborate, contribute, or consume an open source project, we're happy to see what you build.
Next up, we have Google and Firebase, I believe.
I have this one if you want to use it. Okay. Is this the latest version? It's whatever version you have on phone. This one or two?
We can just use whatever they have.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Joel. I work on Firebase. Also an alum from here from Illinois. And I'm going to talk a little bit about using Firebase. I just have a couple slides. But first, yeah, there are 10 Googlers here helping across a variety of different things. We have a couple other things, internships and stuff like that. But first, I want to talk real quick about Firebase. We got a lot of questions earlier, is what is Firebase? I see this, what is it? Some people weren't even sure if we were part of Google. It's kind of interesting. But we've been sponsoring hackathons for the last 5 years. And our whole mission is we are Google's mobile development platform. So we don't want you to build this, right? Working on your mobile app, building this whole server thing, working with your database, right? If you run your own servers, you're going to have a bad time. Instead, we want you to just talk to Firebase directly. Why even have that piece in the middle? We have a variety of products, database, storage, hosting. I'll talk a little bit about them in a minute. But yeah, goal is to do this. We have SDKs for Android, iOS, JavaScript, mainly for the mobile web. We integrated into a number of your favorite web frameworks. We also have server-side access across a variety of different languages and platforms. So first product we have, one of them is the real-time database. Actually syncs your data in near real time within a couple milliseconds. But pretty cool. Much speed, such develop. Wow. Next up, we have Firebase storage. It's for kind of user-generated content, images, photos, that kind of thing, for you to kind of store all of your cat photos. I have 2 cats. I take a lot of cat photos. It's true. We also have what used to be called Google Cloud Messaging. It's now called Firebase Cloud Messaging. Allows you to send push notifications and reach out to your users. Kind of cool for sending things, talking with kind of groups of customers. With Firebase hosting, there's really, if you're doing a web app, there's no reason why you should not be using this. There's 2 commands in the command line. You initialize it, you deploy it, boom, you're live, it's public, that's it. Super simple, super easy. You can use custom domains for free and even get free SSL certificates. Lastly, we are fully integrated with the Google Cloud Platform. So, synergy. And our product, we have a very, very generous free tier, so no need to deal with signing up, getting gift cards, anything like that. You can just sign up and use it. It's ready to go. We have a couple different prizes. We're doing 2 different categories. An everyday usefulness prize, which we'll give out some Google Homes to the winners, and also best use of Firebase in an open source project, which include Millennium Falcon Star Wars kits, or Lego kits, a Firebase trophy and glory for all time, I've seen these. They're actually pretty incredible. They're huge. Super cool. And we're also running a meme contest or a give out.
Yeah, so last year, oh, that's loud. Last year we did animated GIFs, and this year, so you had a couple memes in there, right?
Yeah.
So we're expecting some strong meme game. So you can email your memes, either HackIllinois or Google related, or both, to hackillinois@google.com. We have Chromecasts for up to 4 for people who participated in the meme. Yeah, and we also have Argyle socks, Google socks, if you didn't get one of those earlier, for some of the top memes, so we'll reach out.
Cool. Last but not least, if you need any help, we have great documentation online, integration to a lot of different dev tools, and a number of Firebase team. I think 4 of us are here. We are in these bright yellow T-shirts. They're easy to spot. Tweet us questions. This is on Twitter. So myself, I'll be here. Spencer's over there. James is here, and Dev, I think, was coming down. I don't know if he's here yet. Yeah, and we also have a bunch of other.
Yeah, so Arnav, can you come here for a sec? So if you don't know me, my name is Matthew. I've been around since HackIllinois year 1. But so every year, HackIllinois has this tradition, and it's a Nerf fight, specifically one very special Nerf fight, a sponsors versus staff Nerf fight. And so Arnav is the director this year. He's the leader of the staff. And last year, I got up and I threw a little shade, because I was a sponsor. I threw a little shade at the staff and was like, oh, we're going to win, as sponsors. And we got crushed. Like, immediately, like, in order to have a fair chance, the entire staff team working on companies had to come join our side. And then we had a chance. So companies, while you're all here, this year, I need you to come help me beat Arnav. And we will all, as sponsors, beat the HackIllinois staff.
He got so scared he wore a helmet.
And with that, I think that's all we got. Thanks, guys.
Next up, we have Twilio. Oh, okay. That, I'm not sure. Yeah, that was much appreciated. Thank you.
Hello, y'all. I'll use this one. Thank you. Hey, my name's Greg. I serve on the developer evangelism team for a company called Twilio. And it's awesome to be here. This is my 3rd HackIllinois, and I've seen a bunch of familiar faces, and it's cool to see y'all. I actually just discovered a couple years ago that I'm an alum of University of Illinois, which is not to say that I forgot I went here. Though as I get older, my memory's a little fuzzier. It's to say I learned that alum includes people who failed out too. So that's pretty cool. Just FYI, they'll still hit you up for money even if you don't get the piece of paper. So it's great to be here. Twilio sponsoring the Civic Spirit Prize. And so just how many folks here have something about the way the government's operating or something about your community that you would like to improve? All right. How many of you feel like, you'd like to make a difference, but you don't really know how? Like that, a few, yeah. It can be hard, I think, oftentimes to feel like you can really do something that has impact. But I believe that if you want to have an impact on the world today, there's no skill that you can have to empower you better for that than the ability to write code. And to demonstrate that, I want to tell a story about this developer named Ian Webster. Ian, you can see him here presenting at TechCrunch Disrupt. He's an awesome hacker. He's won a bunch of hackathons. And last summer, he was feeling pretty discouraged about some political stuff that was going on. And he wanted to figure out, how could he make a difference here? And as it turns out, if you want to have an influence on Congress, one of the best things you can do, actually, is make a phone call and call their office. But he knew that it was really difficult for citizens, to figure out what the number was and how to call. And so he built a Twilio-powered app that would allow folks to call one number, punch in their zip code, and be connected to their representatives. And instead of kind of telling you how he built this, I want to show you, because it's crazy simple how this goes. So I need y'all to pull out your phones, please. And in just a second, I'm going to have you send a text to this programmable phone number that we bought. And I'm going to write just a little bit of code here. I'm going to use Ruby just because it's the easiest to read from the screen. But Ian used Node, JavaScript. His app is all open source here, and I'll send you all the link for it when we're done here. But what I'm going to do is just create a web server that's going to handle a post request on a message route. And when y'all text in here, I'm going to tell this server to respond with some XML. And that XML is going to so basically my server is going to send an HTTP response back to Twilio. And that HTTP response is going to tell Twilio to send a message back to your phone. All right? And that message is going to say, hey, thanks for texting in. All right? And that's it. Just a few lines of code. We can reply to text messages with a programmable phone number. And so if you all want to text your favorite emoji, and I will remind you all about the code of conduct, but text your favorite emoji to this number. It's 217-207-3031. Again, that's 217-207-3031. Let me know if you all get a response back. You got it? All right, cool. So for those of you who are still texting in, 217-207-3031. All right? So as you all get responses back, let me show you the part that Ian used here. So we can use Twilio to send and receive text messages pretty easily. We can also use Twilio to place and receive phone calls. And so I'm just going to use the Twilio Ruby helper library to create a new client to interact with Twilio's RESTful API. And once I have that client, I can use it to grab a list of all of the messages that have been sent to that phone number. And once we have all those messages, we can iterate through each one. And with each one, we can do a couple things. The first thing I want to do is output the body of the message that y'all texted. The second thing I want to do is use that same client to create a new call. And that call is going to be to the number that you sent your text message from. It's going to be from that Twilio number again. And then I'm going to pass Twilio a URL that's going to have a little bit of code telling it what to do when y'all pick up the phone. All right? And that code's going to look so similar to what we did before that I can actually just copy and paste it. But instead of replying to a message, I'm replying to a call. And there's a few different things we could do here. We could play an MP3. We could have a robot voice say something. But what I want to do is to dial a phone number. And the phone number that we are going to dial will be the number that Ian set up to call Congress. All right? And so here we're going to drop that number in here. All right? And then we'll drop to the console, and we will run this. And we will see your favorite emojis. And thank you all for doing that. Oh, boy. And just so you know, we have your phone numbers. So, all right, cool. And as your phones ring here, ask that you answer your phone and throw it on speakerphone. And I'll clear this just in case something came through that I missed. Anyone phones here ring? We got some phones ringing? And you'll be connected to the call Congress, and you can dial 1 or dial 2, punch in your zip code, and be connected to Congress. So Ian launched this just about 6 months ago. He has since generated over 10,000 calls to congressional representatives. He has partnered with social activists to help them leverage their communities to actually impact real change. So this is just one of the ways that y'all can use your skills here, whether you use Twilio or not, to like truly impact change. And so what we're doing is just, if you build anything for the sake of civic hacking, if it uses Twilio, we're going to hook you up with enough credits just to keep that going. And whoever wins the Civic Spirit Prize, whether you use Twilio or not, we will fund up to $200 a month your hosting, whatever kind of operational costs there are. We just want to make sure if you spend your time building something cool, if you're committed to keeping it running, that the money's not going to be a factor in that shutting down. Because we really believe that developers will be the ones who have the biggest impact on improving the world over the next 10 years. So thank you all very much. My name's Greg. I'll drop this in Slack, and we'll see you later.
All right. So the last company we're going to invite on stage right now is the company without which this event could not have run. Without them, we could not have flown in all these mentors. We could not have given you the experience we wanted. I'd like to invite our co-host, Fulcrum, to the stage.
Thank you all for coming. Quick question before I get started. How many people are here? 1,000 people. That's unbelievable. And there's still empty seats, but we'll fill them up. Okay, thank you. My name is Ahmed Shaban. I'm from Fulcrum. A number of you are saying, who's that? So I will take a couple minutes, maybe a minute, to tell you who that is. We have a bunch of people here. We're going to bring them all on stage, but I didn't want it to collapse, especially with my weight. So you'll see them in shirts, and we have more coming out throughout the rest of the event. But before I get started, let me tell you a couple things. One is, this is our first hack. This is my first HackIllinois. And before we go anywhere, I want you to know that I've been, and my team have been working very closely with Arnav and his team, and they're unbelievable. So let's give them a round. Come on, let's everybody give them applause. You guys will be applauding 3 times more than that by the end of this thing, because wait till you see what's in store for you. It's fantastic. I know what they've encouraged us to do, and writing the big check to sponsor this thing was just the beginning, but really we wanted to make sure that it was incredibly eventful the whole way through. We've got ridiculous prizes and ridiculous giveaways, and so do the other firms and other sponsors. And actually, without these other sponsors, it doesn't matter, because there's no way I would have been able to afford the whole thing. Microsoft, Google, everybody, they've been fantastic, and you saw their presentations, and they're into it. I think what's funny is I'm not wearing a Pokemon belt, and you know, the AARP lady that comes up here that's for the old people, and she's young and stunning and brilliant, and then there's the old guy that comes up, and he's not representing the AARP. It's almost like we should swap roles. The whole thing is all about irony, but so is this entire conference. I've already learned a ton just listening to everybody here. I learned a ton about what I don't really even understand. And I run this company, and we are global. We're in a bunch of different places. And in case you, even though you don't know who we are, what you should know is the technology platform we use, every one of these sponsors runs on. And it is the largest in the world. And our solutions work with lawyers who unfortunately are almost like insects. They're everywhere in the world. And so, and some of them are even our relatives, okay? So the reality is that we touch every part of the world in every way that you couldn't even imagine. And I hate to say that we enable them and empower them, but we try to do it in a way that doesn't create so much discourse. I was listening to a couple of the people speaking. I even tried to write their names down because I try to keep up with this stuff. Asha and Rudir. I think these guys said some incredibly brilliant things. They were giving you advice with respect to the conference, but it actually applies in a lot of different ways. I'll tell you what, I wrote down a couple of them. One of the things they said is they wanted to give back. And that was just in their own capacity. But what I want you guys to all realize is how incredibly fortunate and lucky you are. You are absolutely spending an entire weekend doing exactly what you want to do, because there's no way in hell you're here otherwise. You're in the middle of nowhere. And so to be all the way here, you have to truly want to do this. And then I see the way that you speak about it. I see the energy on the stage. It's incredible. But the reality is that there's so many people in the world who don't have a clue or a chance or a prayer or a hope of doing anything close to what they want to do. They're lucky if they do something they don't want to do. Some don't get to do anything at all. And it's, as we see some of the changes going on in our society and watch it over these recent weeks, I can't help but imagine it doesn't touch every one of you. So what we have to do is just remember at all times how important that is to give back with everything we do. And we'll talk about the spirit of our prize, our grand prize, so to speak, but with that in mind, I just want you to all keep that in mind, that whatever you're doing, go enjoy it and make the riches of the world and do all these wonderful things that will empower yourself and others, and make sure you take your share. But if you do not give back, this entire world is made about the law of replenishment. A farmer plants a seed of corn, and up comes 1,000 seeds in the cob of corn. If we didn't have that, none of us eat later. So we have to do that going to the future generations. A lot of people have a lot of a lack of confidence in the youth and the future of our world. But if that's the case, we'd still have slavery, people couldn't vote. I mean, there's all kinds of things. It's the next generations that change the world. And you guys are the ones who have to give everything back. not the other way around. I'm not really sure why our government and others don't see that, but we see that. Everybody here sees that. And that's why I love some of the energy I heard here. But we're going to start that tonight. I wasn't able to see from down there if there was more people that were in their first hack or not. So I'll just ask out there, does anybody think that the majority of the folks here have had their multiple hack, or this is their first? Is this more people here for their first hack? More? Okay, how many people here in their first hack? Okay, how many people here are not from their first hack? Okay, I see about 70% of the crowd. So how many people in here have $20 in their pocket? You know what? Everybody in here now has $20 in their pocket. What we're going to do is for every person that hasn't had their first hack, Fulcrum is going to take $20 and we're going to add it all up. So if there's 1,000 people here and there's 70 people, 700 people, whatever the number is, and we're going to write a check to UNICEF, to the Children's Foundation for the United Nations, to make sure that we keep giving back, that each one of you are able to give back. The value of the prizes here is in the hundreds of thousands. I know that we're spending that much. And so if we can't find a way to give $20 each, then we're screwed. And I want you to, the next time you get your first 20, I don't care if it's your first paycheck, just remember the future, okay? Because it's that important. All right, I'll leave that alone. So with that being said, you know, these guys talked about giving back. They talked about a couple things here. They talked about not caring about the number of lines of code and the mentors. And so what we want to do is, let me go straight to the second slide. We have an incredible deck here. This is our first slide, and this is our last slide, okay? So let me just cut to the chase of what this is. So the bottom line is we live in a world, and quite frankly, our firm profits massively off of software that eliminates the need for humans in so many different places. Everybody here does. I mean, it's just you create a retail website and then all of a sudden you can buy stuff and I don't need a lady behind the counter ringing it up and this. It's just that kind of thing everywhere we go. The real challenge, I don't understand why that's such a big project and why we have to start rewarding for that. We want you to actually figure out a way to use technology to make humans more invaluable. Make them more special. Can you create something that's human-centric so that the technology is enabling the value, the quality, the importance of having humans? I mean, after all, we created this stuff. We got to be creative. That just should free us up to be more ingenuous to the world, more treasured. So if you can find a way, if you can see it, if we see it, if we even see the light of it, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to give that team $6,000. So that's it for my deck. Okay, now I want to give you 2 minutes on what I'm most concerned about, and that is your futures. So we're a very high growth company right now. I mean, I'm not going to make it a secret. We hope to hire 100 people out of this group before the end of the semester. We hope to find a bunch that we can give jobs right on the spot over the next few days. But it's not because we just want to get the best and brightest, which is clearly here. I mean, there's people that got sick that couldn't get here, or they got a test or whatever. It's also because we're trying to assimilate a culture of brilliant minds that will have a focus and have an intent to change the world, to transform things. And whether you're transforming an industry that nobody's heard of, or one that nobody really puts a second thought to, AARP, or no, I'm in the community. Who are you talking about? Or the background of the airlines, the systems behind the airlines. People don't make that an everyday thing. All we keep thinking about and hearing about every day is Facebook and Twitter and all this Google and all this stuff you guys got, the belt with the whatever. I don't even want to talk about it. So that seems to take the premise and the priority over the rest. And the reality is what we really want to do is change things, transform the world. We decided, we made our legacy and grew in 400% in the year because we changed an industry. But if we thought that that was the end of it all, and we just invest in it, it would be done before it began. I mean, is somebody else going to come and do it just right after we do? So what we really want you to do, what I want you to do, is I want you to just remember that investment starts at the beginning. It starts with you. You know, your parents or the government or certain institutions, they all invested in you and their future and your education from ground up. You know, from the time they were, paying for you to go to a school or paying for this tuition or buying you a book or whatever the case may be. But it's now your turn to invest. If you do not invest in yourself heavily, and that means invest your time, into as much of expansive thought as possible. Invest yourself. I mean, don't treat your body like garbage. I can't tell you how important that is and how much it's important for you to keep it top notch, because you will do it. Invest 20 hours a day. You know, you get out of school what you put in. You get out of your job what you put in. You get out of life what you put in. Invest deeply and heavily in it, and work your butt off. If you think you write a piece of code, Napster, and all this other stuff, I can't even tell you how that's, you know, one, it's not even one out of this crowd. It's one out of all the hacks that are going to happen there in the next 10 years. Just invest deeply, and then you will change the world, because you already have a vision. Be true to yourself. I parked about 10 blocks from here. I thought it was supposed to be right next door. And I call my buddy and I say, where am I at? And one of the volunteers walks up to me and he says, hey, I can help you. And I start walking with him, and he starts telling me what he's doing. He's in mechanical engineering. He's going to do this, going to do that. And he says, so what piece of advice do you give me? I say, work your ass off, okay? I'm sorry about the language. Just work for starters. Don't give up, and just be totally true to your vision. If you think for a second that your vision has to be spelled out in some certain way, or, hey, you know what, I always wanted to be a guy that's going to, you know, build the next mobile phone, so I'm going to go work for Apple. I'm going to work. That's not going to work. You're going to have to start from the ground up, but do not ever lose sight of your vision. Do it in the garage, do it in weekends, do it offline, do it at work, do whatever you got to do. But, you know, I see the passion and the genuine nature of people and what they really believe in here. I forgot this guy's name. The one who's got much longer hair than me. What is your name? I don't know how you do that. You got long hair down here. You still got the same amount on top as I do. Was it Zorik? It's unbelievable. So this guy, Zorik, I mean, he comes up here. If you don't, he doesn't breathe, smell, feel HackIllinois, I don't know where you'd get that. I mean, that's the guy. And so, you know, if you can take that now and then channel it with an incredible amount of work and passion and not give up and don't lose sight of your vision, I mean, that's what it is. So I heard somebody tell me that Steve Jobs was a Syrian refugee. And I thought about it, I said, my God, that's incredible, right? So here's this guy, he just didn't give up. If you ever listen to his graduation speech at Stanford, when he talks about the fact that he was really into calligraphy and that's what got him where he was, just don't quit on your vision. Work your butt off. Don't look for a shortcut. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, it's rosy over there. Don't sit there and say, oh, I can't wait. I want to live in San Francisco with 4 other guys, pay $5,000 a month rent, and take a mountain bike and ride on weekends. That's not going to get you there, guys. It's not. It's a vision that somebody else has for you so that you can go and make them successful, okay? We invest in people. We invest in our youth. We invest in the crowd. And you should invest in yourselves. And if you won't, nobody else is going to invest in you. That's all I got to say. Good luck. Knock it out of the park today. Okay, guys?
All right. So before I let you guys go, these are where our next 2 panels are. I know we're running a little bit late. I hope you guys bear with us for this. The last thing I'd like you guys to do before you leave is give yourself a round of applause for being part of the first open source hackathon ever.